She said, "I've put your Mustang up for sale on Facebook Marketplace for $5,000. At first, I thought it was a joke. My fiancée, Qley, has a dark sense of humor, so I waited for the just kidding message to pop up. But nothing. Instead, my phone buzzed, Facebook notification. She had actually tagged me in a post. 1967 Ford Mustang, fastback. $5,000, must go today. Photos of my car. The same car I'd poured for years of sweat, weekends, and $22,000 into restoring. The same car that wasn't just a vehicle to me, but a piece of my dad's memory. And there it was, listed online like some dusty piece of junk she was trying to unload for quick cash. I was standing at a construction site in Dallas, halfway through installing an electrical panel when I saw it. The world blurred for a second. My co-workers were joking in the background, tools buzzing, radios blaring country music, but all I could hear was my heartbeat thundering in my ears. "I called her Qley," I said slowly, trying to keep my voice steady. "Why is my car on Facebook Marketplace?" She answered in this sing-song tone like she was announcing something exciting. "Oh my God, babe, I was hoping you'd see it. So, listen. Tiffany and I were finalizing the Vegas trip, and we came up short for the villa deposit. We needed like $3,200, so I thought, why not sell your car?" I froze. My mouth went dry. "You did what?" She giggled. "Relax, it's not like you ever drive it anyway. The buyer's on his way. This is perfect timing, really. The villa has a rooftop pool. Babe, you'll love it." My mind blanked for a good 10 seconds. Then, something inside me snapped. "Qley, that car is worth $22,000. Okay," she said, "but we don't need that much. We just need enough for the villa." "You're terrible at pricing things. Where's the title?" I asked quietly. "What?" "The title to my car, Qley. Where is it?" "Oh," she said casually, "I grabbed it from your office this morning." "You left the drawer unlocked. You went through my filing cabinet." "Babe, we're getting married. What's yours is mine. Anyway, don't worry. I told the buyer everything's ready. You just have to sign when he gets here." That was the moment I realized something was seriously, deeply wrong. "You can't sell my car," I said. "It's already sold," she replied, like it was no big deal. "He's coming in an hour and a half. You should come home and hand him the keys or whatever. I'm calling the police." There was silence. Then she laughed. "What? Why?" "Because you're committing theft, Qley." "Oh my God, you're being dramatic. It's for our wedding. It's for your bachelorette party. Same thing." She snapped. "You're not actually calling them, right?" But I had already hung up. My hands were shaking as I dialed 911, double quotes. 911, what's your emergency?" "Hi," I said, my voice trembling with disbelief. "My fiancée just listed my car for sale online without my permission. She stole the title from my house and someone's coming to buy it in less than 2 hours. By the time I got home, 2 squad cars were already parked in front of my house. Qley's car was in the driveway. She stood on the front lawn crying, Tiffany beside her with her arms crossed like this was some kind of neighborhood misunderstanding. An older officer turned to me as I pulled in. "Mr. Hayes." "That's me," I said. "Your fiancée says this is a misunderstanding, that you gave her permission to sell the vehicle." I shook my head. "Absolutely not. I just found out about it an hour ago." I pulled out my phone and showed him the Facebook post. The messages, everything. The officer read through it, then looked back at Qley. "Ma'am, did you take the vehicle title from his home?" She sniffed. "We live together. It's not taking. Is your name on the title?" "No." "On the registration?" "No, but we're engaged." "That means, ma'am," he cut in firmly, "being engaged does not grant you legal ownership of someone else's property." Tiffany jumped in, arms flailing. "This is ridiculous. They're getting married in 6 weeks. He's trying to ruin her bachelorette party over a car." "Ma'am, step back," the officer said sharply. Meanwhile, I handed over the registration, my name, and only my name. I never gave her permission, I said quietly. Where's the title now? Qley bit her lip. Inside. In my purse. I'm going to need you to hand that over to Mr. Hayes. She blinked at him like she couldn't believe it. Are you serious right now? Ma'am, the officer said. You took property documents that don't belong to you and attempted to sell property you don't own. That's theft and fraud. You're lucky your fiancé called us before the sale completed. Qley's tears turned into full-blown sobs. Mascara streaked down her cheeks, and then, as if on cue, the doorbell rang. 3:58 p.m. the buyer had arrived. A man in his 50s stood on the porch holding an envelope full of cash. His face went from confusion to fury as soon as he saw the patrol cars. I'm here for the Mustang. The officer sighed. Sir, I'm afraid the vehicle isn't for sale. The person who listed it doesn't own it. The man turned to Qley, his eyes narrowing. You were trying to scam me? No. It's complicated. Save it, lady. He looked like he wanted to spit on the ground. I drove 2 hours for this. I'm filing a report. Of course, the officer said, pulling out a notepad when the buyer left. The officer turned back to Qley. Ma'am, I'm placing you under arrest for attempted theft and fraud. What? She screamed. Brett, stop this. I didn't say a word. I just stood there, silent, hollow, as they read her rights. Tiffany whipped out her phone, filming everything. You're a monster. She hissed. You're destroying her. She destroyed herself, I said, watching as Qley was led to the patrol car, crying, mascara smeared, still insisting she did it for us. That was the first time I realized something I should have seen long before. I wasn't engaged to a partner. I was engaged to a storm, and I'd just seen what happens when it finally breaks. By the time Qley was taken to the county lockup, I was standing on my driveway, numb. Tiffany's phone still recording, her face red with fury. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just watched the patrol car drive away, Qley screaming through the glass. I was doing this for us, she yelled. I had no words. I couldn't reason with someone who thought committing theft and fraud was an act of love. My Mustang was safe for now, but my world had shattered in 60 minutes. 2 hours later, Qley's mother, Carla, called me from Qley's phone. Brett, I just paid $2,500 to bail my daughter out, she said, voice trembling. Why did you do this? I pinched the bridge of my nose. Carla, your daughter committed theft and attempted fraud. I didn't want her to get away with it. She was going to sell my car for 1/4 of its value. She was just trying to do something nice for her wedding. By committing a crime, I asked sharply. Qley made choices. She has to face consequences. Carla hung up, but that was only the beginning. Over the next week, the harassment began in full force. Qley, Carla, and even Qley's father, Dan, started showing up at my house, sending texts, leaving voicemails. Multiple numbers, all pleading for me to give her another chance. But I couldn't. Not after she tried to steal from me, lied, and manipulated everyone around her. I had spent years building my life, and she tried to destroy it for a party. The situation escalated dramatically one morning. I got a call from my landlord. Someone had vandalized my Mustang. By the time I arrived, it was a nightmare. Every window smashed, tires slashed, hood keyed with the words, should have sold it. Officer Rodriguez showed up to document the damage. Pulling up my ring footage, I saw Qley in a hoodie, crowbar in hand, methodically smashing each window and slashing the tires. She didn't hide her face. She looked directly into the camera at one point, calm and precise. I swallowed hard. Felony criminal mischief. Felony vandalism. Bail violation. The officer confirmed she was being rearrested immediately. No bail this time. The judge declared her a flight risk. Qley was gone again, this time into serious legal trouble. Carla called me again, sobbing. You drove her to this. You humiliated her. I stayed silent. blocking numbers as quickly as they appeared. I had no patience for anyone who tried to excuse criminal behavior because someone felt hurt. Qley made her choices. She had to live with the consequences. Over the next few days, I dealt with the fallout, insurance claims for $8,400 in repairs, cancelling the wedding, explaining to the venue that Qley was not authorized to make decisions, and dealing with constant messages from people accusing me of being heartless. People didn't understand. They saw only a young woman arrested. They didn't see the deliberate theft, the fraud attempt, or the premeditated destruction of property. They didn't see the thousands of dollars and years of work she tried to obliterate in a single afternoon. The legal process moved fast. Qley's trial began 6 weeks after the initial car sale attempt. Day 1 focused on the theft and fraud, the Facebook post, texts, my testimony, the buyer's testimony, and the officer's reports. Her lawyer argued she didn't understand the legal consequences. The prosecutor proved otherwise. She had forged my signature, taken the title, and attempted to sell my car knowingly. Day 2 covered the vandalism. Ring footage played full screen in court. Qley, methodical and calm, destroyed my Mustang. Emotional distress or temporary insanity didn't apply. It was premeditated. Deliberate revenge. The jury deliberated for 3 hours and returned with guilty verdicts on all counts. The sentencing followed immediately. 18 months in state prison, $12,000 in restitution, and 3 years probation after release. A permanent felony record outside the courthouse. Qley's parents and Tiffany approached me. Qley's father, Dan, tried reasoning like a man pleading for his daughter. "Brett, you're being too harsh," he said. "She is your fiancée, can't you drop the charges?" "No," I said, firmly. "She committed crimes. Multiple crimes. That's not negotiable." Qley's mother began crying uncontrollably, blaming me. Tiffany shouted about injustice, claiming the system was failing women. I didn't respond. I watched them walk away, realizing that I had done the right thing. Qley's choices had consequences, and justice had been served. Back home, my Mustang was at the shop, fully repaired, better than ever. My house remained intact. My sanity, finally reclaimed. And though my love life was paused, cautious, careful, I knew I would never allow someone to manipulate, steal from, and destroy what I worked for again. This wasn't about a car. It was about respect, boundaries, trust, and the law. Qley is in prison because of her choices, not mine. I kept my car, my home, my life, and my dignity. And now, 6 months later, I can finally breathe. The mess is over, the trial is concluded, and the lesson is clear. When someone shows you they don't respect you, your property, or the law, protecting yourself isn't cruelty. It's survival. Sitting in my living room, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The chaos that had engulfed the past 6 weeks, Qley trying to sell my Mustang, the arrest, the vandalism, the endless calls and texts from family was over. My house was quiet, my car was safely back in the garage, and the court had spoken. Justice had been served. I kept replaying those moments in my head, the shock of seeing my car listed, the police at my door, Qley's frantic tears, and the calm, systematic destruction of my Mustang on camera. It was unbelievable. How could someone I loved so deeply betray me so coldly and calculatingly? The courtroom was tense. Watching Qley face the consequences of her actions was difficult, not because I doubted justice, but because it meant giving up someone I had imagined spending my life with. The judge made it clear, theft, fraud, and vandalism aren't mistakes, they're crimes. 18 months in prison, restitution, probation consequences she can blame no one but herself for. Outside the courthouse, Qley's mum and Tiffany tried to confront me again, begging for leniency, pleading for a second chance. I was resolute. I had to. Love doesn't mean ignoring theft, fraud, and vandalism. Real love, real respect, requires boundaries. Protecting yourself doesn't make you cruel. It makes you responsible. The Mustang is now fully restored. In fact, it's better than ever. My house is intact. My work is uninterrupted. My life is intact. I've taken steps to protect important documents, changed the locks, and I finally feel like I can breathe again. Dating. Not yet. I'm cautious. I won't be surprised by someone who doesn't respect boundaries or the law, but I'm not closed off to love. I know what true trust and respect are now, and I won't compromise that anymore. Some people say I was heartless to send Qley to jail, but it wasn't about a car. It was about responsibility. It was about protecting myself from someone who didn't respect me, my property, or the law. Qley is in jail because of her choices, not mine. V learned something important from all of this. When someone shows you who they really are, you have to trust them the first time. Respect is earned. Trust is fragile. Property and boundaries are non-negotiable. And if someone tries to take them from you, backing down isn't an option, standing up is. So, here I am. My life is mine again. My Mustang is safe. The wedding is cancelled. Qley is facing her own consequences. And I've learned that protecting yourself sometimes means making the hardest and most painful choices, even when it's someone you once loved. A harsh lesson, but a necessary one. Respect yourself, respect others, and respect the law. Do anything less, and you could find yourself standing on my doorstep, watching everything you thought you could get from someone crumble before your eyes.